This episode of Rick and Rick is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in ultra-stylish, premium-quality travel gear, like the Taskin Air Duo dual-sided compression packing cubes. One side's 100% air breathable to keep clean clothes fresh and wrinkle-free. The other side's odor and water-resistant to keep dirty laundry sealed up tight. Now you can pack up to 40% more in the same space. Save 30% on your next purchase when you use the promo code R&R Take 30. That's R&R Take 30 at taskinsf.com.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow, Punkin. It'll be here sooner than you think, and the Ricks are keeping score.
That's right. You're just in time for our Predictions Scorecard episode,
where we revisit the predictions we made
to see where we nailed a bullseye and where we flubbed a misfire.
About the year that was in marketing, media, tech, and pop culture.
And it all starts right here, right now, on the one show where everybody's got a bone to Rick and everybody rules the world.
Welcome to the Rick and Rick Marketing Podcast. I'm Rick Matheson, and I am joined, as always, by my good pal and partner in podcastinacity, Rick Wooten. It is time for our annual Prediction Scorecard episode. So as longtime listeners know, every, January, February, March, somewhere in the first quarter, we do an episode featuring our prognostications about some of the trends we're watching and where we think they might go in the year ahead. Then we revisit those predictions to see what we got right and then make fun of us about where we went very, very wrong, so you don't have to. So Rick Wooten, you ready for this?
I'm ready. The first prediction that I made this year was that AI will ruin the life of many marketers in 2024. And a couple proof points I had around this was I felt like, search volume was going to move over to AI, and then, all the marketers are going to have to figure out how to SEO for AI, and, anyways, and just less people clicking on ads because they're asking questions instead. Now, according to research data I looked at, it definitely is showing that AI tools like ChatGPT and other generative platforms have increased dramatically this year. However, they didn't really take away significant traffic from any of the other outlets, including Google, as an example. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I really did think that we'd see more of a shift, but I think the thing that kind of came through for them is that Google in particular finally kind of kicked it into overdrive and really started integrating AI into its search. Microsoft's done the same, et cetera. So, they've kind of offset some of that by getting involved in it as well. So minimum impact on search volume. Definitely there is a lot of growth in people using generative AI and AI tools. And it's definitely being offset by the big giants of search, kind of getting into the AI game themselves.
It probably has ruined some marketers' lives, just probably not in the way that I think we were talking about in that episode. I personally was kind of relieved that the fundamentals didn't change dramatically. That was something that, if I remember correctly, we were talking a lot about in that episode because we didn't know at the time how this was going to work. So that's a big relief. But, I'm starting to wonder if the people AI may be a nightmare for are less the marketers and more the consumers, thanks to every company and ad agency inserting the term AI into every freaking thing.
That's fair.
There's a quote in ad age, AI is like the new Botox. Companies are injecting it everywhere in a vain attempt to make their companies look younger. And I think that's on point.
Absolutely.
I think my first prediction was, I said, we'll see marketers increasingly shift from paid search to paid social. And that seems to be happening. And in fact, our episode was, I think it was in March, right? By May, Campaign reported that if projections from the World Advertising Research Center bear out, 2024, we'll see paid social overtake paid search for the first time, totaling more than $247.3 billion worldwide. Wow. And if the projections bear out, Meta alone, so Meta's properties anyway, alone, could overtake linear TV in ad revenue in 2025, which was another wow. Now, that was May. In June, eMarketer reported on a study that found that traditional search engine usage continues to decline, particularly among younger demographics. And what's interesting is, and this is key, what's emerging, and it makes complete sense, is that search is better for targeting folks who have a specific intent to buy. You're searching for best price on iPhone 16. In organic social, it's more along discovery. It's stumbling upon something you might be interested in, but it's not an intent to go purchase that thing. It's just serendipity. But for paid, you can now target those folks who are most likely to purchase in social channels. And so that's where the big difference is. And again, I don't think it's an either or. I think marketers need to be in both and be using them in different ways. But wow.
Yeah, my second one was kind of related to yours. It was also on the social platforms, and I think you got this one right. And that's the social platforms are going to move to monetize more aggressively, and so Facebook, TikTok, X, etc. And the good news is when I did some research ahead of the episode, most of the sources said yes. According to the current data, social media platforms have significantly improved their monetization in 2024, and this was done through subscription revenue. A bunch are opting for ad-free subscription models. Some are enhancing targeted advertising, and in fact, if you remember, it was only a couple years ago where we thought that Facebook was going to, basically go out of business because they weren't able to do the advertising the way they had in the past because of changes that had happened in browsers and smartphones. But they figured it out, and so they've continued to get really, precise with ad targeting and engagement and et cetera. And then growing influencer marketing. As much as I keep saying that I think influencer marketing is kind of going the other way, it seems to keep on ticking, and brands continue to leverage these influencers. And I keep seeing, advertisements on places saying, see what influencers think of our product, and it's still something that's quite out there. And then, of course, the last one is live streaming. Live streaming is really, kind of continued to take off in the last year, and all the platforms now allow you to do it at some level, and some of them charge for it. It's an incremental feature that you have to pay for. So, yeah, I definitely think I kind of nailed this one. I don't think it monetized quite the same way I expected them to, but it absolutely did improve, year over year.
Who would have thought that essentially QVC online would be a big hit, but here we are.
Right.
Yeah, I saw some stats. I think it was after the holiday. So according to eMarketer, TikTok Shop drove $100 million in Black Friday sales.
Dang.
3 times more than it did the year before, 2023.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and shoppers were up 165% year over year. Now, this is huge because there is still a yawing chasm between social commerce adoption in the US versus Asia. We talked about that in the predictions episode. For comparison, for full year 2024, social commerce sales in China, for instance, are expected to top $899 billion compared to $71 billion in the US. And this will be interesting in the coming months here. So if TikTok is forced to sell to a US-based company, it remains to be seen how much social commerce will play into that particular platform's future, at least in the United States. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, folks. Before we go, Rick, one of my predictions was I predicted that Phillips Laxative will build on its, quote, "You deserve a good poop today" campaign by launching extra strength Phillips Laxative. The tagline? Shit just got real. And in a related note, it's also going to be the tagline for a new campaign from Taco Bell. Okay, I personally did not see that either of those taglines came to be, but I did find it humorous, Rick, that in addition to liquid gels, there is an extra strength Phillips Laxative, and it comes in convenient caplets. We'll be right back.
Hey, Rick and Rick Nation, don't forget to check out our website at rickandrick.com. It's double the Rick in just one click at rickandrick.com.
And welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. Rick Matheson and Rick Wooten. And we're continuing our scorecard of what we got right and what we got wrong in our predictions episode back during the first quarter. I think it was February, March, a couple of episodes where we made predictions about trends we're watching in 2024 and where we think they'd head. So we're going to continue here. All right. So last year, I said, I think we're going to at least start to see more shoppable streaming, shoppable television shows, movies, whatever, where you're able to, for instance, just the way you might access X-Ray and Prime, you see the fashions on the show or the products on the show that you're watching, and you can place a purchase right there while you're watching it. And at the time I said, I think that's going to be at least experimented with more this year. And I said, I think it could also be paired with social commerce because we're watching TV, we've got our mobile phone in our hands, and we're scrolling through social media. So episode was in February, March. In April, Paramount announced plans to launch shoppable streaming. In November, Warner Brothers Discovery joined the fun with Shop with Max and Moments. They provide viewers with a seamless way to purchase products related to what they're watching, of course, on Max. And then Moments is more about targeting users based on the type of content they watch versus what they're watching at the moment. So the models here, They've been mostly for special events, and it does involve your second screen, your mobile device. And in some instances, it could involve point your phone at the screen that you're watching the streaming content on, scan a QR code, and then a shopping page comes up on your mobile phone and you're able to buy, as The Verge has put it, a $75 flamingo pool float or a $19 underwater camera seen on Peacock's Love Island. That's one of the models. In other cases, it can mean having product information sent via email or push notifications to your phone so that you can go back to them later at your leisure, which makes a lot more sense. So still early days. We'll see if people cotton to it, but I feel like I got an A or at least an A- on that one.
The next one that I predicted was also around social networks. And this one was that social networks would actually see a decline in users, especially daily, in 2024. And I'm kind of right here, but not really. We did see that a number of social media sites, especially in the US, decreased slightly between, 23 and 24. I think that according to Data Reportal, the number of social media users in the US declined by about 7 million, which is only like 2.8% between 23 and 24. But worldwide, it's still growing with over, basically 5 billion users as of July of 2024. So, I guess you could argue that I had a little bit of it right and that we did see a decline in the U.S., but overall, it's growing overall. And I think part of that is there's more social networks than there were ever before. And so people are on more and more and more. So it may decrease on Facebook or, X or whatever, but they're really just moving to somewhere else. And the overall number is increasing overall. So Facebook as an example, they're popular with older folks, and sadly, I guess that includes us. But it has declined, a little bit over the last decade. TikTok and Snapchat, these platforms, definitely young users, and their adoption rates are starting to slow. And we'll probably see them kind of plateau eventually. X, we definitely saw a slight decline, but the losses slowed. So the predictions of X failing have kind of not happened. But then on the flip side, Reddit is growing and it keeps it. In fact, I would say, what is it called when something has a second wind? It has a
resurgence or
Reddit has definitely had a second resurgence, and I think now that it's being indexed by AI, the fact that a lot of people moved over to it, I think they kind of became of age and shifted over. It's definitely becoming one of the strongest social platforms out there. So, and I don't think they've monetized quite yet, although they have advertising. I think there's a lot more they could do. So we'll see what happens there. But YouTube's the one that takes the cake. I mean, it's still probably one of the most used platforms overall, and its usage is very strong and growing. And now they're even a paid service. They figured out how to monetize by having YouTube TV.
Let's see. Okay, my next prediction. So last March, I said that an acronym marketers will learn in 2024, if they haven't already, will be some variation on what some are calling DLMs or DSLMs for domain language models or domain-specific language models. These are LMs that are built and trained for specific industries. So you think insurance or engineering, medicine, law, biomedical research, those kinds of things that have very specific terminology. And the reason I said that, Rick, is the sort of open source generative AI models, they're based on just general knowledge available on the internet. Obviously, that includes all the hallucinations because of all the incorrect information on the internet. But within specific industries, it's almost unusable. And so my prediction that there would need to be domain-specific LMs. Companies can't build these things just on their own. It's very expensive, lots of computing power, and you want the largest data set possible. So we'd start to see the rise of these DSLMs. And after that episode, Unite AI ran an article about that exact topic about 4 weeks after our episode. But to the extent that I got this one right, I really don't know. I haven't seen any surveys. I suspect it's still low, but I think it will continue to grow in 2025. I think I just kind of was a little bit ahead of the curve. I don't think there are enough companies yet further enough along in their generative AI maturity.
Yeah, the next prediction that I did was that I predicted that we would see a consolidation of streaming services. And as you know, I've been frustrated for the last couple of years that the number of streaming services. And, some have been my muse, like Paramount Plus, that I just don't think should have ever existed. It shouldn't have been off on its own.
Now, what you talk about, Wooden? That's all the Star Trek shows.
I know. But I think it should have been.
And what's the one that everybody's into? Yellowstone or whatever that everybody's into?
That's right. I'm not saying it doesn't have good content. Just saying it doesn't make sense as its own. One channel having it just doesn't make sense to me. And so I was in the right direction here. We did see some consolidation. As an example, Showtime folded into Paramount Plus, HBO Max and Discovery merged into Max. Disney started bundling a bunch of different streaming services together, including Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max. And so you're starting to see that consolidation. Some of it's virtual, like I said, through bundling, and other ones are actually merged. So I think we'll see this continue. I think we're starting to get down now to the top 4 or 5. And I think now we're gonna see who's really gonna win with content.
Really, I think 2024 is going to, in retrospect, be viewed as a pretty consequential year, because 2024 became the year that streaming actually became profitable. In October, the Drum reported that Disney, which, as you mentioned, bundles Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN, achieved $47 million in operating profits during the third quarter, raking in $6.4 billion in revenue.
Wow.
Yeah. Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Plus also reported their own first years of profitability. We're 5 years in now for these. And Netflix profits, which I'm surprised by, surged 44% in Q2 to a net profit of over $2 billion. And the key here, the Drum points out, is that the changes made by these companies, and we've talked about this kind of in real time, Rick, the key is that the changes made by these companies mirror those that have made traditional TV profitable for the past 50 years.
Yeah.
There were the increased subscription prices. There was this consolidation, was via bundling. The reduced amount of original programming. They've all cut spending on programming. And then the other thing is advertising, which irks me to no end, but it is key to their profitability. And it's to the point now that Amazon announced that it's going to shut down Freevee. It's free ad-supported video streaming, just because they can run the ads on normal Amazon now. In terms of mergers and acquisitions, in July, we talked about, I said it's not going to happen. It didn't happen, but there was talks between Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount merging. But by December, folks, Variety reported that Paramount Global would merge with Skydance Media in 2025. That appears to be on track. Now, you see Skydance, the logo, on a lot of movies. It's a media production and finance company, so it's a little bit different than a studio, but the interesting tidbit here, Rick, is that it's founded and run by David Ellison. David Ellison is the son of Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison.
Oh, interesting.
Very right. Yeah, I think you got this right. Like I said, I think looking back later, 2024, it's going to be seen as a consequential year. I think whatever success we see the second half of this decade for these streaming services, it's because of the pieces that the people that are running these platforms managed to put together this year.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
All right, so my next prediction. I think we're going to start to see the early steps of something that probably won't take off till 2030. So I gave myself plenty of wiggle room here. I think we're going to start to see the steps toward machine customers, AI-based tools that engage in transactions on a consumer's behalf based on preferences that you indicate or those that it eventually will learn about you. As I said in that episode, we kind of already have this. If you think about HP Instant Ink, for instance, or Amazon Dash or things like this, you set up the rules and they order replenishments when existing supplies of, say, your printer drop below X%, that kind of thing. You're not manually making those transactions. And according to a Gartner survey, CEOs at that time said that they believe that by 2030, up to 20% of their company's revenues will come from machine customers. Well, it wasn't happening, and then suddenly it is. So it's mainly because of the rise of agentic AI. So for listeners with a healthy aversion, tech speak, agentic AI is artificial intelligence systems that can operate autonomously to achieve specific goals or tasks. And it can do that with whatever level of human supervision the company, the brand, or the user wants, heavy, light, or none. Now, by May, the way Forbes put it, quote, imagine you're relaxing on the couch on a Friday night engrossed in a movie marathon. Suddenly your fridge beeps, but it's not the annoying door left open chirp. This time it displays a message. Low on milk. Ordering a fresh gallon for tomorrow's delivery. Confirm? Quick tap on the screen and you're back to the movie. This is just one example of how machine customers customers, or custo bots, could change the landscape of customer interactions and transactions. So we may talk about this again in our predictions episode in a month or so, but I could see 2025 this starting to get a lot more buzz.
Yeah, I can see that too.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Before we go, I did have a prediction last year that Elon Musk would bring the same impressive business acumen that he brought to Twitter to a whole new industry vertical when he launches Neuralink sausages and franks. But things will turn ugly after he challenges Oscar Mayer to a wiener measuring contest and loses. Well, that did not happen, but in one episode that involved this prediction, this is funny, Rick, I joked that he might also launch things like Tesla Tots plug-and-play child care centers, Boring Burger, and Elmo's ketamine cuisine. Well, in November, there was a piece about how Elon Musk is indeed opening a private preschool. And what I didn't realize at the time, Rick, this has already happened. But months earlier, Musk had opened not a restaurant called Boring Burger, but rather a snack food shop called Boring Bodega. We'll be right back.
This episode of Rick and Rick is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in ultra-stylish, premium quality travel gear, like the Taskin Air Duo dual-sided compression packing cubes. One side's 100% air breathable to keep clean clothes fresh and wrinkle-free. The other side's odor and water-resistant to keep dirty laundry sealed up tight. Now you can pack up to 40% more in the same space. Save 30% on your next purchase when you use the promo code R&R Take 30. That's R&R Take 30 at taskinsf.com.
And welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. Rick Matheson and Rick Wooten as we continue our prediction scorecard. All right, you're up, Rick.
Well, one of the little quips that I made in my prediction was that Americans have grown tired of politics and that ChatGPT would win the election. And sadly, I was wrong here. ChatGPT did not win the election. It would have been probably the most intelligent candidate. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you know what? ChatGPT would have indeed been a better candidate than either of them, and especially the one we ended up with. If you remember, I made the prediction that former President Donald Trump will confide to Sean Hannity that he enjoyed the fucking around way more than the finding out. What ended up happening is that the American people decided, no, we're going to fuck around and find out.
That's right.
One other prediction I had, Rick, is that OpenAI will consider a rebrand in 2024 and that the two leading names for the brand's new identity would be HAL 9000 or Skynet. That didn't happen, folks, but instead I hear they're thinking of rebranding OpenAI as either Hallucinations Are Us or Infringement Incorporated. When we come back from this short break, it's time for a prediction scorecard round of loaded questions. See you on the other side.
Hey, Rick and Rick Nation, don't forget to check out our website at rickandrick.com. It's double the Rick in just one click at rickandrick.com.
And welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. Rick Matheson and Rick Wooten, and it is time to play a prediction scorecard edition of Loaded Questions. Rick Wooten, are you ready to play?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, first question. Merriam-Webster has announced that its 2024 word of the year is A, brain rot, B, polarization, C, demure, or D, Cheetle. Merriam-Webster has announced that its 2024 word of the year is what?
I'm gonna. I don't think it's Cheetle as much as I really love that one.
What?
I'm gonna guess polarization.
You are correct. The answer is B, polarization, which it defines as divisions into two sharply distinct opposites, especially a state in which the opinions, beliefs, or interests of a group or society no longer range along a continuum, but become concentrated at opposing extremes, which sadly seems apropos of just about everything right now.
Exactly. That describes the U.S. political system right now.
Meanwhile, Oxford University Press's 2024 word of the year is brain rot, which describes the negative effects of consuming low-quality online content, especially on social media or, say, Fox News. And finally, according to NPR, demure was the top searched slang word in 2024. Yeah, so demure is reserved, modest, and shy, and it was popularized by TikTok phenom Jules LeBron. So demure somehow beat out skippity, which is supposed to mean cool, and Hoktaw, which means, well, you can look up that one for yourself. I don't even know if I said that right.
No, you did. It's Hoktua.
Okay, Hoktua. All right, question number 2. Archive.com, not to be confused with archive.org, recently launched an out-of-home campaign designed to A, encourage consumers to save holiday images, video, and other memories in the cloud, B, encourage citizens to save the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights on distributed servers while they still can, C, encourage brand marketers to collaborate, share, and save work in the cloud, or D, encourage brands to track data for influencer campaigns. An out-of-home campaign from archive.com is designed to do what?
Wow, this one was not on my radar. Yeah, I'm going to go with encourage brand marketers to collaborate.
Okay, and that's what I would have guessed too, but no, in this case, the answer is D. As Ad Age reports, Archive.com, an AI-first influencer marketing platform, I love the campaign here, recently parked mobile campaigns in front of high-profile out-of-home brand ads or billboards in New York to encourage the associated brands to track online data for influencer campaigns and running full activations with influencers. So here's an example. So a truck with a digital mobile billboard parked in front of a holiday Coca-Cola billboard, and the mobile billboard reads, "Hey, at Coca-Cola, love this campaign. Let's track it on social, live, while displaying data on engagement and other metrics." The campaign targeted Coca-Cola, Nike, Spotify, and Swarovski, and included custom landing pages for each to speak directly to marketers at those brands. So I thought it was a really nice digital, B2B campaign.
Cool.
All right, final question. Pantone has announced that its 2025 color of the year is A, Viva Magenta, B, Velveteen Rabbit, C, Chiffon Muffin, or D, Urethral Franklin. Pantone's 2025 color of the year is what? I'm just kidding. Pantone has announced that its 2025 color of the year is A, Viva Magenta, B, Mocha Latte, C, Mocha Mousse, D, Denim Duck, or F, Cruella de Violet. Pantone's 2025 color of the year is what?
I believe it's Mocha Mousse.
Yes, you are correct. Answer is C. Pantone 171230, aka Mocha Mousse, described as bold and vibrant. Just kidding. We always joke, folks, that every year the Pantone colors of the year are described as bold and vibrant. In Mocha Mousse, it's described as an evocative soft brown that transports our senses into the pleasure and deliciousness it inspires. A warming, rich brown hue, Mocha Mousse nurtures with its suggestion of the delectable quality of cocoa, chocolate, and coffee, appealing to our desire for comfort. Now, Rick, that's exactly what we all probably going to need in 2025. Though I can't help thinking that this color could just as easily be called chocolate frosting shit smear.
Yeah.
Which may also be emblematic of 2025.
Or mud. It is the exact color I think of when I think of mud.
All right, well, that is going to have to wrap up our prediction scorecard episode here, folks. Until next time, stay safe and keep on coming back to the one show where everybody's name is Rick.
And everybody rules the world.